It's not all the way back yet. And the problem is I get closer, right, to feeling okay. And then I do a show for 2 hours. And then I knock it back out again. And I strain my voice. And I should really just take a day off. But then I'd have to admit to people that I was taking a day off because I went to a concert. Not because I actually got sick or had something bad happen to me. Because I went to a concert and acted like a buffoon. So instead I try to push and say, well, I'm going to be a hero. And it just never gets any better. And at some point in the day, my voice sounds like this. I'm doing either my Alex Jones or Scotty Farrell.
On the bench.
On the bench. It's gone off. On the box. I end up sounding like that.
I think you sound a lot better than this.
I wouldn't say a lot. I also feel like all I need to do is clear my throat, and that's not what I need to do. And so it ends up being gross because I go to clear my throat, and there's nothing to clear out. And it just sort of sounds like I'm dying, you know? Like you're trying to clear your throat, but that ain't the problem. The problem ain't clear. I had a kidney stone. This is gross. Good morning. It's Glenn Clark Radio. I'm Glenn. He's Griffin. Carson Weekly's here today. Hi,
morning.
Carson.
Good morning.
One time I had a kidney stone, but I didn't know I had a kidney stone because I'd never had a kidney stone before. So how would you know what that felt like? I just knew that there was something wrong. I was sick. I was in the middle of calling a baseball game. And it was painful. Like to the point where I was at most calling the pitches. At most I was strike one. Ball two. Like it was that bad. At the end of every inning, I was racing to a bathroom thinking maybe I just need to puke. Right? Like there was nothing. Nothing was coming out. I couldn't puke. It was all gone. I'd gotten it all out. I didn't know I had a kidney stone. That was the problem. This is what I feel like today. I know what the problem is. The problem is I threw out my voice belting along every lyric of Semi-Charmed Life as Third Eye Blind, very old man white music. That was what I did. I hurt myself. I screwed with the instrument. And as everybody knows, if I don't have my voice, I literally have nothing. I offer nothing to society in any way. I know what I did. I can't fix it. I even drank some hot tea last night. I even went that route. The only thing that you can really do is rest, and I don't have the ability to do that because I work every day because, again, I have no other appreciable skills. I can't say, hey, instead of doing that today, I'll go out and dig a ditch or I'll go out and do somebody's taxes or something along those lines. I have no actual skills that help society. All I can do is come here and bitch about sports on the internet. That's what I've got to offer. And you know what? We're going to do that today. We're going to bitch about some sport. I got to bitch about the baseball game last night. It was quite pleasant. Lovely little baseball game last night. Coming up on the program today. By the way, today's show, Tuesday edition of the program, we are bringing back today Simply the Bets. We will get to that at 11:40 this morning. Simply the Bets is brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. We do it every Tuesday, again, starting today. We had a little bit of a break there, but we're back. Simply the Bets today and every Tuesday moving forward. And then we'll bring back Weekend at Bookies this Thursday. Although we might have, we might be moving some timing around on Thursday because I am going down to the ballpark for Mo Gaba Day on Thursday, and the game starts at 12:30. I have been asked to come to some. What the hell is the idea of a 12? I know it's about getting teams out of town and getting them on their way, but 12:30, really? 12:30? It's very early. Very, very early. So I was asked by some of Mo's friends and family to come join them before the game. I said, I don't know that that's going to be possible. I mean, I would love to. I would love to. But my God, we do a show from 10 noon. Typically on Thursdays, we'll be doing the show till 12:20. This week, I believe we might start at 9 a.m. And we might do the show from 9 to 10:40 and then Weekend at Bookies from 10:40 to 11:20 so I can try to get out of here and get down to the ballpark for Mo Gaba Day. Speaking of Mo Gaba Day, Damon Amendolara from CBS Sports Radio, he hosts their morning show. He is a longtime friend of Mo's as well, for those that don't know the story. You know that Mo would call in to Scott and Jeremy's show. Mo would also call in when Damon was doing nights on CBS Sports Radio. Mo would also call into that show regularly. And Mo and Damon developed quite the friendship, and Damon's going to be here on Thursday to celebrate Mo Gaba Day, and he's partnered with our friends at Thread Level Midnight, and they've got a Be Momentous shirt that's raising money for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center. I would encourage you to pick it up. I just got mine last night, so hopefully I'll be able to wear it at the game on Thursday. If not, I've got some other Mo shirts from over the years that I will choose to wear. But Damon Amendolara from CBS Sports Radio will join us this morning. We'll also talk with our buddy Dan Wilcox, get his thoughts as the Ravens get training camp underway. What's on his mind? What does he want to see in the coming weeks? Does he think that Lamar Jackson could win 12 MVPs but not be a good quarterback? We'll get all the important questions answered by Dan Wilcox, former Ravens tight end. And Drew Forrester will join us this morning. For some reason, he's not available tomorrow, which I realize does not really work because we don't actually have anything to discuss with Drew. The reason why Wednesdays work is we can at least play Would You Rather Wednesday. I don't care. Oh, man, you know what? I was going to try to get Springsteen tickets this morning, too. He was going to come in.
Oh, right.
But he decided he couldn't do that because
he was trying to get tickets?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a straight shoot. He was going to come in this morning and sit in on the show, and then he said, no, I can't do that. I need to get my Springsteen tickets. And I was like, I thought about buying some of those. And the reason I thought about buying some of those was just because even if I don't go, somebody will want them. Like, I can do something. This is I would call it an asset, much like we would describe, say, a Jorge Lopez or whatever it is that we have at the trade deadline. I thought of this as an asset. So I was like, I'll go ahead and buy it. And then I utterly and completely forgot as the show got underway. So I don't think I'm going to get them. And the real question is Drew, because Drew actually cares. Drew wants to, badly wants to go to the Springsteen show. So the question becomes, does he get the boot? Like, does he get the shaft and get left out on the Springsteen tickets? Because if he does, he will lose his mind when we talk to him later on in the program. He will be out of control. I'm in. Carson, this is going to be one of your jobs today. I just put myself in the queue.
Okay.
There's 2,000 people ahead of me in the queue.
Wow.
To try to get Springsteen tickets. There's no chance that I'm going to get them.
Crazier things have happened.
But I want you to watch and see if it pops up.
All right.
Here's what I know is going to happen. What's going to happen is they're going to say at one point, we got some tickets for you, and they're going to be like $1,000 tickets. That's what's going to be of it. They're going to say, hey, and they're not even going to be like,
but you're going to grab
row.
those.
No, that will not be occurring. Your boy is not doing that well. Believe it or not, I know we have a very highly rated program here, but not doing that well. So just monitor it, see if at some point it takes me out of the waiting room, like Fugazi would say, and they say, hey, you can go ahead and buy you some tickets if you'd like. The problem is I'm going to guess that I don't know what the new arena is going to look like. I guess it's still going to be a rectangle, which is so stupid. God, what are we doing? We're redoing an arena just to have it be the wrong shape. Still have terrible sight lines. Still be antiquated. Antiquated? Yeah, that's the word I was looking for there, right? I suddenly struggled with whether or not antiquated was a word.
Sounds like a word to me.
It is. But I was like, is it anecdotal's another thing. Antiquated. I was right.
Oh, Glenn, you moved up a little bit.
Oh.
The bar moved like that much.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well on
already making progress.
Well on my way to not getting tickets. Also, it's going to be hilarious when I put my credit card in and they're like, yeah, you don't have money. Sorry, you can't do this. This is for people that have accomplished things in their life, not for people like you. All right, that's what's coming up on the show today. I think I handled it. Yeah, Drew, Dan, and Damon. It's the triple D's. It's Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. That's right, right here, right now on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. There's a stupid song in his car and the whole thing. Oh boy. Oh, this is gonna be delightful. So the Orioles win last night. Trey Mancini's not in the lineup. Before the game, Trey Mancini tells Mark Viviano from WJZ, our buddy. He tells Mark, look, I am treating this like it's the final 4 days that I will be in an Orioles uniform. And this goes back to some of the conversation that we've had in recent weeks, that it's felt like it's sort of a fait accompli. The way that it has been discussed by those around the Orioles has made it seem like, hey, everybody knows the Orioles are just going to deal Trey Mancini for whatever they can get for him. And my point all along, and I'm not wavered on this, is that doesn't make sense. I know Trey Mancini's struggling right now, which, by the way, would seem to point out you're probably not going to get all that much for Trey Mancini at the deadline. I've never thought it made sense to just deal him for the sake of dealing him. I'm not going to feel that way later today if they announce a trade. I'm not going to feel that way tomorrow. I'm not going to feel that way next week. I'm not going to feel at any point as though it's justifiable to just trade Trey Mancini for the sake of trading him to add something of complete insignificance into your system. I understand the argument. I've done the math on it before. If Trey Mancini has a 0.8% chance of winning a World Series with the Orioles this year, and whatever it is that you acquire has a 1.2% chance of being part of a World Series team in the future, that 1.2% chance is better than your 0.8% chance. And in trading Trey Mancini, there are lots of options. And I would be inclined to get creative in terms of those options. I've said before, if you're looking to move both Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez, and you can't get a lot for Trey Mancini, but you could get an intriguing bullpen arm for next year. Meanwhile, Jorge Lopez could really deliver you some legitimate prospects, and we're doing it. That's the way that I would go about doing it. But I wouldn't do it for the sake of doing it, and I keep saying that. Just saying, well, we got to do it. He's not going to be here next year. Well, one, you're deciding he's not going to be here next year. I'm not. I don't think Trey Mancini's decided that. You've decided that. Well, you got to make sure you've got at-bats for Kyle Stowers. You got to make sure you have at-bats for... You're solving problems that don't exist. I can only say this so many times. I hope Kyle Stowers is a quality Major League Baseball player, but we have no reason to believe that's true as of today. We got to have at-bats for who? The biggest point is that when Adley Rutschman isn't behind the plate, you want him to be in the lineup. And so it takes away DH at-bats because Adley Rutschman's not going to catch every day. We know that. That doesn't mean it's the only place that someone can play. I get it. Ryan Mountcastle is pretty entrenched at first base because he can't play anywhere else. If he could, they would have liked for that to have happened. They tried a bunch of different spots with Ryan Mountcastle. It didn't work. He kind of has to play first base. And to his credit, he's played fairly well at first base. He hasn't been a butcher. He's played reasonably well. That's hard to be a butcher. My God, if you're a butcher at first base, maybe this ain't for you, dog. Maybe. And then you look around, and if Anthony Santander is going to be here, and as I've said all along, if I felt like I had to move someone, that's who I'd be looking to move. If Austin Hayes and Cedric, then you're just saying to yourself, hey, where are the at-bats coming from? And I get it. I understand. I don't know what the market is for Trey Mancini, and this is the side of it that I've never understood as far as his long-term future. I don't know why we think Trey Mancini's pricing himself out of Baltimore. I don't know who's looking at Trey Mancini and saying, this is a guy we've got to have in the lineup every day for 8 figures a year. Again, all it takes is one team. I understand that. All it takes is one connection. And maybe it's the Mets. Maybe Buck has so much sway and power now in New York that he can convince them to give Trey Mancini 4 years and $50 million or something like that to be their DH. I don't know. But I have never sensed that there was a robust market for Trey Mancini. And it's not because I don't love Trey Mancini. So none of this works for me. Am I accepting that it's likely to happen? Yes. We just did a bit the other day, and I said I think that Trey Mancini is going to get dealt. I am accepting of the fact that I don't think Trey Mancini says this to Mark Viviano yesterday if he doesn't have reason to say it. My gut is that means the Orioles have made it very clear to Trey, look, dude, we're looking to move you. We get the opportunity to, we're going to move you. They've tried to be fair with him. They've tried to be straight up with him, be respectable. He's a beloved figure in this organization. He's a beloved figure in this city. That's the reason why they say these things to Trey Mancini, and that's the reason why he can say it to Mark Viviano. That's my guess. I don't know that, but it's my guess. And that sucks. Might be a good reason to get to the ballpark this week it really might be your final chance to see Trey Mancini play for the Baltimore Orioles, which I hate that, but that just might be the reality of it. As I said, I'm going to go on Thursday, which might be Trey Mancini's final game in Baltimore. Really encourage you. Section 96, we're sitting out there for Mo Gaba Day. Get your tickets. Come out. We'll celebrate Trey, too, one of Mo's best friends. God, it's going to be an emotional day. Jesus. I'm going to wear sunglasses just in case. Might wear 2 pairs of sunglasses just in case. Hey, Glenn, you all right? No, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I'm good. I'm totally fine. Totally okay. Not caught up in my feelings. Not at all. I hate it. I hate it, and I hate it not because I would have hated to see Trey Mancini go even if the Orioles weren't competitive this year. I was always going to be opposed, just because of who Trey Mancini is. I hate it more because it doesn't make sense. Again, short of there being a far better return for Trey Mancini than I could ever possibly fathom. But I have no reason. I talked to John Heyman about it the other day, too. I have no reason to believe that return is coming. I believe that if the Mets are the team that trades for Trey Mancini, it's because they weren't willing to pay the real prices to get the other bats that are out there. That's what everybody's saying. Josh Bell's the guy they want. But Josh Bell costs you something. So if you can't get him, well, then you go the cheap route and you just give up a little bit to get Trey Mancini. Isn't that a problem? Why aren't we more bothered by that? We discussed it with Rob Long yesterday. He's like, look, man, you're still in a rebuild. Are you? Should you be? And again, I get it. A rebuild can still be looking ahead to next year. And I have said all along this season, the priority for me would be 2023 because 2023 is the chance you have to really win something. But are you changing? Is trading Trey Mancini changing your chances for 2023? And the sense that I get is probably not. And going the route of, well, just take somebody else's 19-year-old international signing that, it's like a lottery ticket. Why? 3 years ago, take as many of those guys as you could. Why now? Why is that the priority? Why is that what you're looking to do? Why are you not trying to build? This is the team. These are the guys. This is when we're going to go get them. Look, maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe Trey Mancini is prepared for it to be his last week in Baltimore, and we get the next week, and teams just aren't as interested in Trey as the Orioles wanted them to be. Or maybe at some point somebody within the Orioles organization says, really, are we doing this? Is this what's I don't know. But I don't think Trey Mancini says that yesterday if it's not basically fact to him. And I hate the fact that it also overshadowed the fact that the Orioles won a nice game last night and back to 500 and what I think is an important series this week for them as they try to establish that they really are a threat or not. I think it would be very tough if the Orioles went through, and we talked about doing the math, losing 2 out of 3 to the Rays, losing 2 out of 3 to the Yankees, and losing 3 out of 4 to the Rays again, to make a statement, even as though they wouldn't be that far below 500, to make a statement that they really are in the thing. Because when they played, again, they won 10 games straight against bad teams. Then they started playing good teams again, and they overwhelmingly lost them. I think that in order to feel like they have a chance to be in this at all, they need to do something, at worst a split, to feel like they can be competitive. Not that they can be competitive within games. They've been competitive in games all year. To feel like they can win enough games to be competitive. At worst, a split. Last night, the bullpen once again. Brian Baker is a rock star. Who knew?
Nick Vespi.
Nick Vespi looked
4
like
straight strikeouts there.
Nick Vespi looked like a
Faced
stud.
5 batters and 4 of them
I
struck out.
like Nick Vespi a lot. I mean, he's a really likable guy. He looked unbelievable. I mean, he looked unhittable last night.
There was also talk of Dylan Tate possibly being involved in a deal, and then he got put in the game. So that was like,
well, I don't know how you can. You only have so many guys, right?
Right.
So the word was they didn't. Trey Mancini didn't sit last night because of a deal. Trey Mancini sat last night because he's been struggling recently, and
Got to clear his head.
Brandon Hyde just wanted to give him a night off.
But also, there's no way they trade him before Thursday either. I feel like
Why?
because of Mo Gaba Day.
I know
Trey
it's a
has
nice,
to be
I know
around
it's
for that.
I know it's a nice thought, but if team's ready to do a deal tomorrow and you're looking to do a deal,
I mean,
you run the risk. If you don't do it, you run the risk of him getting hurt on Thursday, and then you can't do a deal.
well, we already decided. There's no way anyone's giving you anything that's blowing you away.
I
for
understand
Trey
that, but
Mancini
if
as
they've
well,
decided
so.
they're trading Trey Mancini, then they're going to trade him once the deal's on the table. If that's the way it works. If you've decided this is what we're doing, and the deal's on the table and you're good with it, you're just going to trade him. You're not going to say, hey, wait 3 days and then we'll do it, because then you run the risk of that trade getting blown up in 3 days and it not working out. You can't do it. I don't want them to do it, but that's the way that the business works. Trey Mancini sat out last night because he's been struggling late, and that's fine. Everybody gets a day off here and there. That's the way it goes. I think we were all in agreement that poor Jonathan Rose, who we're all very hard on, and then I couldn't see they didn't really show a replay if he was like busting it out of the box, and it felt like he was trying to make up for the fact that he wasn't busting it out of the box, that like maybe he thought he had hit a home run, and so all of a sudden he realized he hadn't. He was like, well, I better get to second base, and you could tell very quickly he had very little chance of getting to second base. I get it. It didn't look like Cedric Mullins was going to get home on.
Yeah, it really didn't.
It looked. I'm like, ay, and then holy crap, he's Superman. He was doing his best Soldier Boy, Superman. Like he was doing the whole thing. But yeah, it did not look good for Jonathan Rose, and he gets hurt on top of it. And I hate, because you feel bad for the guy, but there's also part of you that's like,
all right,
I don't need to see.
Yeah,
any more.
don't see
I
him
don't need
again.
to see any more of this guy. I just don't need. I don't know why I need to see any of him at all, but I definitely don't need to see any more of him. I don't think it speeds up. I'll continue to say, I don't think Jonathan Rose getting hurt will be what forces Gunnar Henderson to the major leagues. I have maintained the Orioles, when it comes to guys like that, have not made their decisions based on, hey, do we need a guy that can play a certain position? Well, let's go with this guy. They have continued whatever their plan was for those types of prospects and have not been altered. We were talking about, remember, the starting pitching was an abomination at the beginning of the season. Everybody's like, well, it's got to be Grayson Rodriguez, got to be Grayson Rodriguez, got to be. They were never going to change their internal plan for a specific legitimate prospect, someone they think is a big part of the future based on what's happening at the major league level. And I don't think that's going to change now with Gunnar Henderson if I'm sorry.
I think it's
Arauz, yes. If he's going to, sure, I will go with that. I'm with it.
The public address announcer
I've
says
heard it.
Aruz.
I've heard it a bunch of different ways. I've heard it so many different ways that I just kind of gave up. Aruz, that's how Adrian says it?
Yep, that's how.
Aruz? I thought it was odd. I did think at one point it was Arauz, but then I heard somebody say Aruz.
I'm not sure.
Aruz. I do like to get these things right, and I feel bad about that. I'm not trying to purposely butcher somebody's name.
It's like the Mets left fielder. He's at Mark Canha.
Oh my God!
It was
Kanya.
Canha.
Yeah,
now
I was
it's
gonna say
Kanya.
Kanya.
Did you see? So during the game, he was mic'd up on Sunday night, and they asked him, and he said, technically, it's Kanya because it's Portuguese. So he said that.
Yeah, he's from Portugal.
He said that. And then his wife went on Twitter and said, it's Canna. After he
so no one knows.
had said himself, not somebody else saying I heard it from him. He himself said it's Kanya. But I've said this before. This is the frustrating part. This goes back to we all made fun of Jim Nantz because he pronounced Haloti Ngata's name Nata. He was like, there's a nice play by Nata. We're like, what the hell is that guy? And then Jim Nantz is like, no, we talked to him the night before. He said, that's actually how my name is pronounced. And Haloti was like, yeah, it's actually how my name is pronounced. Like, why wouldn't you mention that to somebody? Why did it take this long? As a broadcaster, it's infuriating. I want to get your name correct. Please don't just put up with it. I don't care all that much. No, tell me. It's infuriating. There's the other one right now. It's everybody calls Pat McCary Pat McCarry. Pat McCarry is how everybody says it, right? And then one time he was on with us. I was like, hey, dude, it's McCarry, right? And he was like, no, actually, it's McCary. I was like, okay, well, I'll make sure I get it right. But now I sound like the buffoon because I'm the only person in town that says McCary. Everybody else says Macari. And I'm like, well, I know. The guy told me. Oh, man, I had an incident at the lacrosse championships.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I had
more than one of them.
I think it was Spain. All of their players recorded themselves saying their names. But because it's a Spanish accent, sometimes the G's sound like H, sometimes it just sort of all rolls together. So I'm doing the game, and some girl comes running up to the booth and is standing behind me. And I go to commercial break, and she's like, that's not how you pronounce number 14's name. I'm like, and I pull out my phone, and I go to the recording. I'm like, I hit play. I say, listen, she said this. Yeah, but I'm hearing from people on the broadcast and our chat, and they're saying this. I'm like, the girl said it! Her! So infuriating, man. So infuriating.
Somebody running up to you.
Oh, my God. Like, can I just do this game? That's all I want to know. All right, the Orioles continue their series of the Rays tonight. Game 2. Spencer Watkins is on the mound against Shane McClanahan, the A's all-star starter who technically is a Baltimore native as well. That's Game 2 tonight between the Orioles and the Rays.
We just had a big jump, by the way.
Yeah? Oh,
we went from 1,500 to
you know what that probably
646.
means? People dropped out because they realized they couldn't get tickets any longer.
Yeah, we went
probably
from
what that means.
Whoa, Glenn. I'm just saying things are really moving forward. We've dropped we've dropped like 1,300 spots in about 10
almost
seconds.
Certainly
might have a
means-
shot at the $800.
Almost-
Oh yeah,
Almost
it's
certainly means there are
it's a
no
wash.
tickets available. That's normally the reason why that happens. All right, when we come back in, Thursday is Mo Gaba Day. Damon Amendolara from CBS Sports Radio is going to be here and be a part of it. We're going to chat with him next. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
Hey Birdland, join in on the fun and celebrate the 30th anniversary of Oriole Park at Camden Yards on Saturday, August 6th, as the O's take on the Pittsburgh Pirates at 5:05. The first 15,000 fans 15 and over will receive a 30th anniversary Oriole Park t-shirt. Then stay post-game for the Birdland Summer Music Series presented by Miller Lite I Love the 90s concert, featuring Drew Hill with a special performance by Cisco and Smash Mouth. Tickets start as low as $15 at Orioles.com/tickets.
Sports fans, the wait is over. The all-new FanDuel Sportsbook is now open at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. This is your chance to win big right in your own backyard. Bet on every sport with self-service kiosks and watch all of the action from the best seat in the house. Make every moment more at the all-new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
Get your tickets now for the premier high school lacrosse games of the year. The 17th annual All-America Lacrosse Boys and Girls Senior All-Star Games will be on Saturday, July 30th at Johns Hopkins' historic Homewood Field. This is your chance to see the future lacrosse stars up close and in person as they showcase why they are the best in the country. Go to allamericalacrosse.com and get your tickets now.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or back by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports. It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me, right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, today's show also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience, technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today. Womp womp. There were tickets when I got there, Carson. There were tickets available. Every time I clicked on them and said, "Maybe I'll buy these."
Yeah.
Nope, they weren't actually. No, they weren't actually available. So I will not be.
That's a shame.
Not be obtaining.
Do you know what time they went on sale this morning?
10. I mean, that was.
Oh yeah, so so
yeah.
you weren't late at all.
Well, no, I was 7 minutes late, and that's.
Well, yeah.
I mean, that's gonna doom you in a situation like this. All right, Ravens report the training camp today. Anybody who hasn't reported already, anyway, is reporting the training camp today. First practice is tomorrow out in Owings Mills, and we'll get some more clarity about, where certain guys are. I think we're expecting, no matter what, it's at least going to be a little bit of time before we see, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. I think maybe Ronnie Stanley is a more interesting question that we're not talking about because he didn't fly off the handle on Twitter last week. When Ian Rappaport reported something about him. We haven't gotten anything kind of definitive about Ronnie Stanley in some time. There has been very little reporting about, I guess because he's not a fantasy football player, so there isn't the same broad kind of national interest in Ronnie Stanley. And I mean that, like somebody might think that's flip, but I genuinely mean that. There's more interest in the rest of the country about whether or not J.K. Dobbins is going to play in week 1 because
they might draft this guy.
Exactly right. Ronnie Stanley, who might be more important than J.K. Dobbins, the Baltimore Ravens, there's not as much interest in the rest of the country because he's not a fantasy football player. You're not going to be drafting him. So I don't know. I haven't seen any recent reporting in relation to Ronnie Stanley. You hope that he's going to be good to go. That'll be something to watch this week as well. But the first practice tomorrow, Ravens players reporting today to Owings Mills. On Thursday, I am going to head to the ballpark, and my Sunday radio partner, the NFL chick, Sarita Hubbard, is going to join me, and we're going to hang out with the family as it is Mo Gaba Day at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. They're raising money for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center. Encourage you to get the Be Momentous shirt from our friends at Thread Level Midnight, Dean Tejada and his team, also raising money for the Johns Hopkins Children's Center. And the man behind that is a host every morning on CBS Sports Radio from 6 to 10. He is Damon Amendolara, and he's with us now here on GCR. DA, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's good to finally chat with you, man. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us.
Oh, my pleasure, Glenn. Thanks for having me on. I'm so excited about Thursday. This should be awesome.
Damon, just for those that don't know the story, I know you have talked about it ad nauseum, but for those in our audience that don't know, can you take me back, your relationship with Mo, your memories the first time he called you, and how special you realized this young man was?
Yeah, for sure. We began on CBS Sports Radio, my show, doing overnights, and then 2 years in doing evenings. So those were hours that we were on in Baltimore on your station, carried at nights and overnights. And what we found out was Mo in Baltimore was a young man who loved his Ravens and Orioles and would call us regularly and would be listening to CBS Sports Radio and wanting to talk about his Ravens and Orioles night. So he would call in and we would joke around. He always had that infectious laugh. He knew his stuff, so we loved taking his phone calls. And he loved to be in on the joke, needling my producer, Mraz, or needling me, or being in on whatever the riff of the day was, the riff of the night was. But I had no idea who Mo really was until a little bit later on. We saw there was a Mo in Baltimore who calls 105.7, and he was at Orioles Fan Fest. We said, wait a second. could that be our little Mo in Baltimore? And then I saw him gain more traction at Ravens training camp and then become kind of a civic icon, call out the draft pick of the Ravens, and I just couldn't believe it. And that's where his story was, that he had obviously been battling cancer his entire life, that he had been blind from the age of 6 months old, and that he had just become kind of a civic hero in Baltimore. And my heart rose that this was our little Mo that called all the time and talked to us. And sometimes I would just talk to him off the air, as he was on hold. Hey, Mo, how you doing? It's the middle of the night. Are you okay? Are your parents around? Do you have to go to school? And then I started piecing all of those little puzzle pieces together, and I just felt so honored that he would listen to our show as well and be in on it. And what I learned was that because he was blind, his sleep hours were very irregular, so he was up at night late a lot. And that sports radio was his theater of the mind. And so he was attracted to it. And so I just was kind of caught as, my goodness, how fortunate are we?
Yeah.
And then, a couple of years ago when his health was failing and he had a couple of parades that your community threw him for his graduation from middle school, I said, I have to meet Mo. I have to get down to Baltimore. And so I made the trip and set things up with Jeremy Kahn, who had been such a close friend of the family, and got to go to Mo's bedside in his final months. And boy, talk about meeting an angel on earth. I just was taken aback by the type of young man he was and his spirit and his laughter. And I brought a couple of toys down. I went to go get a whistling Nerf football so you could hear it as we threw it in the backyard. And water gun. I got him a big Super Soaker water gun that he could spray me with, and it made him laugh all day. And I brought some food over for him, and we ate and we talked and we played little video games. And I felt like, I was the most fortunate guy on earth. So when he passed, I just made a promise that Mo, what he meant to me, was always going to live through our show. And my show does a Momentous Monday, Inspiration in Sports, every Monday. We play his laugh regularly so that we could laugh alongside him. And at any time that he's going to be honored in Baltimore, I'm there, whether it was a street naming, which happened a couple of years ago, whether it was Mo Gaba Day last year at Camden Yards or this year, I'm going to be there. And he taught me life lessons that nobody could have ever taught me about being encouraging and being optimistic and being grateful and taking life and making it what you want instead of thinking that it happens to you. You get to turn it on its ear if it's not good. And, I love him. So I can't wait to come down there and celebrate Mo Gaba.
Man, I love hearing you say these things, Dia, but I got to be honest, man. I'm a softie now, and it's tough because I start thinking about holding Mo's hand and the power that you feel from that, and it's hard to not get emotional, man. It's really hard to not get emotional talking about this young man. Damon, what you just alluded to is so important to me, and we put Mo on the cover of Press Box, the magazine we do in town, a couple years ago as our sports person of the year, the year before he had passed away, and just said, look, I don't know that there's anybody in this town that has put more smiles on faces than Mo Gaba has, and we decided to rename that award for Mo moving forward after he passed away. It's the Mo Gaba Sports Person of the Year that we do when we put that person on the cover every year. And what we said then was it's critical. And in Baltimore, everybody seems to know Mo, and your audience, probably not everybody in Nebraska that tunes in on a Monday morning is aware of Mo's story. But it's so important to me because this human was so significant that we have an obligation to continue to tell his story and to try to make sure that as many people as possible know how much this person loved life. And despite everything he went through, he loved everyone he came in contact with. He had this infectious spirit. It's a story that's so critically important for us to tell, and I'm sure that's what you feel as you do these things with your show.
Totally. All of that is 100% right. I think that we all go through bad days. We all have tough circumstances. That's what kind of life is about. But you probably will never have it as bad as Mo, and if you do, it's going to be a really, 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 really rough, difficult number of years. And Mo taught me that whatever happens to you doesn't define your attitude. You get to choose whether every day you look at it as a positive or negative. That's a really powerful lesson. I'm not sure I still have completely comprehended that. But you think about all that life gave Mo, which he had no control over, obviously losing his sight at a very early age, ravaged by cancer continually coming back. No matter what, he could be put in what everybody would define as a terrible situation from life. Life just happened. And he refused to be a victim. He just refused to look at anything besides, I'm lucky, I'm here, I'm laughing, and I'm living life to its fullest. I get to choose happy. And this is a really difficult concept for mere human beings who are, consistently beaten down by X, Y, and Z. But if you think about it and you go, no matter what happens to me, I get to choose whether this is a positive or whether today is a good day. Man, life changes. It's 180 degrees when you realizing you get to choose that stuff. So again, Mo was superhuman in a million ways, and I'm sitting in my office right now in New York City, and I have a cutout of Mo on my desk, and I have the big congrats Mo from the Hall of Fame last year at Camden Yards on my wall, and he is my reminder at my home office where I have his bobblehead and anything on my wall that choose every day, DA, you choose what today is. And when you think about it that way, you get chills, and I am incredibly thankful that you yourself, all the people at 5-7, everybody in Baltimore, the Orioles and the Ravens recognize, and Johns Hopkins recognize the value of Mo and his lessons, because it's so important to keep talking about them. It's so important to keep reminding us of them. And it's so important to keep him in our spirits and our minds, and that you guys have completely embraced that and made him so memorable and put him all over the place. It just means the world that so many people feel the same way I do. Because then it gives me a place to go to talk about him, to interviews like this, and to meet you coming up this week, and to meet other people at Camden Yards. It's so heartwarming that I get to go to a place and everybody feels the same way.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt about it. Damon Amendolara, CBS Sports Radio, with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Damon, if I could too, I think it gave me new perspective. I don't, I'll tell you, I had gotten entirely out of radio at one point. The way that so many people get jaded. Hey, it's a dying business. It's all those things. And Jeremy and I talk about this a lot. Without radio, we don't know Mo. We don't. The public at large doesn't know him. We don't meet him. We don't know his story. We don't understand it. And it gave me new perspective on our business. It gave me new perspective on what it is that we do, and why whenever a program director tells me stop taking calls, stop doing, I'm not going to do that because I don't know what someone's story is, and that's the magic of the medium that we do. Has your relationship with Mo changed the way you approach what it is that you do for a living?
It's a fascinating way to frame that. I hadn't thought about it that way, but certainly perhaps. I mean, from a personal standpoint, again, I didn't know Mo's physical ailments. I didn't know his family. I didn't know his background when he would call. I was just so thrilled that somebody who was young and bright and funny would call in the show and like the show. He was a great character, and of course, it's easy to fall in love with that laugh and that that childlike enthusiasm for everything. And so when I found out about that later, I said, my goodness, Mo is amazing because he doesn't lead with that. He doesn't even bother telling you that, as though it's not even that important that he's sick or that he's blind or that he's going through this stuff for 75% of his life is in a hospital or whatever. That's not even part of the story for him, even though it is, of course, a huge part of the story. So I think what I've always tried to do is radio is so intimate with your listeners, with your callers, and with your emailers and followers, et cetera, that I've really tried to respect that. And Mo's a really good example of that, in that when people listen and reach out, whether they tweet or whether they email or call or what have you, they do have an entire set of circumstances in their life that they're dealing with. And they oftentimes turn to you for an escape, or they turn to you for entertainment, or they turn to you for companionship, and to really respect that. And I've always tried to do that because it still means a great deal to me that people listen to me, and it's somehow important in their lives. And wow, that's quite an honor. But Mo really played highlight that of look at how important it is to just be able to connect with people. And that's why I do television and I do digital and I do a lot of things and I write, but nothing is as powerful to me as speaking into a microphone or the radio, because there's an intimate connect that you just never have if you're working in television, that you just never have if you're working in digital. If you're just a tweeter or an influencer, it's not the same because you're not talking directly to somebody over the phone or through a speaker so they can hear your voice, hear your thoughts, long form. It's a powerful medium. And man, you're right. Mo highlighted that more than anybody.
Boy, did he. I was thinking about, because I saw, and of course everybody in the country is talking about this nonsense from the story in The Athletic about Lamar Jackson yesterday. And I'm just wondering, I'm imagining you talking about that and Mo calling in and saying something about it, right? I'm imagining what that would have been like had he heard you reading this absurd statement from an anonymous defensive coordinator about Lamar. He could win 12 MVPs. He's not going to be a tier 1 guy. It's just so insane. I'm trying to imagine how Mo would have responded to it, which, of course, he would never criticize someone else, right?
Nope.
He would just want you to know how much he likes Lamar Jackson.
He would say something along the lines of, well, what's that coach going to say when Lamar Jackson runs for 4 touchdowns on him in October, DA? And we would start laughing. And what's he going to say when Lamar Jackson wins the Super Bowl in February, DA?
Yep. That's how he
start cracking up.
That's how he was.
It would be amazing. I know. It would be absolutely amazing. I can hear him in my mind's eye.
Thursday afternoon, Camden Yards, 12:30 game time. We want you to be there. Section 96. There's still, I think, a couple tickets left in that section, or the surrounding sections, to be there to celebrate Mo. And we also want you to go to threadlevelmidnight.com. DA has partnered with our buddy Dean Tejada for these Be Momentous shirts, which are awesome. I just got mine last night. Damon, I'm sorry that I haven't done this with you before. I truly love how you have honored and shown a national audience what Mo is all about. I know, of course, it's at DA on CBS where people can find you, and CBS Sports Radio every morning, of course, 1300 here locally. Really appreciate it. Can't wait to see you on Thursday, sir. Thank you for taking a couple of minutes for us this morning.
My pleasure, man. This is awesome. I can't wait to be down there coming up in a few days. And if your listeners haven't seen the video that I did about the Mo Gaba Way street naming from a couple of years ago on YouTube, I'll retweet that.
Please.
Just because I think it's such a wonderful reflection of Baltimore as a city. It's such a wonderful reflection of your listeners, the people of the city, how everybody's embraced Mo and what he meant to me on a very intimate, personal level. So I think it's a cool way to capture his spirit. And I'm so glad the Orioles are doing this coming up on Thursday. I needed somebody to be with on this anniversary, so I get to be with a whole bunch of Orioles fans and you guys at 105.7, so I'm fired up about that.
Damon, we'll make sure we retweet that, too, when you send that back out. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it. We'll see you Thursday.
Back at you, man. Thanks so much.
It's Damon Amendolara from CBS Sports Radio, and, it's going to be an emotional day. And I love the idea of kind of reclaiming the day and celebrating Mo, and it's going to be a special day in Baltimore. It's going to be a special day. Are we going to try or
no?
No. Okay. That's all right. That's all right. No worries. Thanks, Damon, for taking a couple of minutes for us. So since we have a minute here, why don't we do this? I blame. It's the last note that always gets me.
You got an excuse today.
It's the last note that always gets me. I'm doing fine right up at that last note. Young Yutes brought to you by Glory Days Grill. The Young Yutes should be at Glory Days because the summer seasonal menu is unbelievable. The opener, the flash fried pork belly with the Korean No. 2 sauce. How does this sound for you? South Carolina barbecue chicken. I know a thing or two about a thing or two, and I know that people in South Carolina know how to barbecue a chicken, unlike the people in North Carolina who don't know how to barbecue anything. Get over there, try that. The lobster roll with the grilled corn, the lobster and crab fries, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This all sounds amazing. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. Get your order in.
Yeah, stop by, see us while you visit your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. Ours is right here, literally a stone's throw. I could throw 105.7 Stone Felts to Glory Days Grill. I could do that. It's a stone's throw. Former Ravens quarterback Stoney Case, I could throw him to Glory Days Grill from where I'm sitting right now. Probably not, but I would try. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website. What are the Young Yutes talking about today, Carson Weekly?
The first one, this has been like a really big deal. So, are you familiar with the like the Mr. and Mrs. books from like when you were little, like Mr. Skinny and like Mr. like all
okay,
those?
I have seen. I saw somebody do this. The Big Cat did this about coffee this morning. I saw.
It's just been like a thing of people to make a Little Miss or Little Mister, and then whatever their personality trait is, and it's
why.
Yeah, I have the same question. Why?
I don't. So
where did this?
I was
start?
trying to look.
So this is. I saw the one that the Big Cat from Barstool put up. It was
right.
Little
It's
Miss
exactly
all the
like
coffee.
it's exactly like
and that's apparently. But are you supposed to change the?
So there's like
the
I think
person or
so the original books were written by this British guy, and I remember loving the books when I was little.
I don't remember. I remember nothing about it.
Yeah, when I was in
I have vague memories of this being a thing, but I just vague.
I remember like when I was in kindergarten, like my teacher would read those books all the time. But anyway, so there's like a bunch of those little caricatures that are all for the different books, and people just pick one and they put it on just like a white page, and then they give it a title, Little Miss or Little Mister.
So it just comes off as we're bored. I mean, that's what it is.
Oh, it's people are bored.
Sometimes I think these things are very funny. I don't think this is very funny.
I've yet to see a funny one.
And
I've probably seen 100.
That's my issue. I am all on board with a good meme, right? Because if I get a nice chuckle out of it, a nice chortle, then it's improved my day, right? My day has been improved by silly memes, by people capitalized, Usher doing this thing at the Tiny Desk concert. Everybody, I can get a chuckle out of that. Not all of them are funny, but enough of them are funny. Some of them are uproariously funny. Enough of them are funny that I say this is great. This is you have added as dumb a place as Twitter is, as insane as this cesspool can be. You have added something to my day by giving me a nice uptick. I don't know. This just screams. You know what this screams? Me! Pay attention to me! I don't know how this improves. Like, what if we did one for me? What would be Little Miss Angry, shakes his fist
or
at you?
I think like, or
probably.
you could be like, oh, today I'm Little Miss No Voice, or it's just it's
how
dumb.
is that?
Look, if you go on Twitter, I mean, there's just so
but
many.
But are any of them funny?
No, I've yet to see a funny one.
They're
but it's
they're just about me swimming in Lake Me.
Yeah, well, this is like the tell me. This is like the tell me I'm pretty thing from last week.
I just want
attention.
attention. Tell me I'm pretty. That's exactly what this is. I matter. Care about me. Be interested in me. By the way, I'm going to take a detour for a second. This is why it's so stupid that we've all gotten away from Facebook. The only valuable thing that Facebook had to offer, one, I like looking at pictures of your kids. I do. I like looking at pictures of your kids. I've reached that age. That's what I'm into. I once upon a time, I understand like Instagram was the place for me to look at pictures of chicks. Now I'm into looking at pictures. I want to see you and your kids growing up and having fun and going first day of school. It's wonderful. Watching all the kids hold up their signs. I want to be a firefighter growing up. I love all of that. I'm all in, right? But the one thing that Facebook offered was it would tell you when your friends' birthdays were. And let's be fair, none of us have a half a clue when our friends' birthdays are, unless they tell us. Unless they invite us to a party and say, my birthday is coming up. We don't know when our friend's birthday. I have like 4 friends so I could tell you where their birthday is. Otherwise, I might have a generic idea. Griffin had to tell me when his birthday was the day before. I want to know when his birthday was.
Well, I mean,
you're never going to know. But Facebook offered that. You could do the bare minimum as a human and say, hey, guy, today's your day. Enjoy your day. But we were all like, nah, get away from that. To Twitter, because doing literally the bare minimum of wishing our friends a happy birthday was too much. We have to go back swimming into Lake Me. We have to go back. I only care about me. Don't care about you and your birthday. I only care about me. Me. So we got to make little miss things that aren't funny and offer nothing to society. God, I am very old. This is peak old guy right now.
My God, do I come off like I'm screaming at a cloud at the moment. You better move on to the next one because this isn't getting better.
This one might even make you more mad.
Oh, good.
All right, so after...
But is there a reason why this started? Or
No, I tried to figure out where the start of it was, and I don't know. But this next one does have an origin story. So J.J. Redick and Jerry West they went at it a little bit. And for some reason, Bob Cousy got dragged into this. And a lot of people are basically saying,
I'm not sure
I could beat prime Bob Cousy one-on-one.
I'm not sure I knew Bob Cousy was still alive, if I'm being totally honest with you.
I don't know if he is. But it's
Okay.
just like a bunch of it's been a big thing for people to say that I can beat prime Bob Cousy one-on-one. And like on TikTok,
Nope, he's 93 years old. He's still with us.
Wow, good. There's a lot of like voiceovers of his career highlights, and people
like,
just making fun of him.
congratulations.
Bob Cousy slander is at an all-time high.
So this all started with J.J. Redick saying that Bob Cousy played against like plumbers, right?
He was saying that Jerry West was playing against like firefighters and like guys that basketball wasn't their actual career. And
right.
Jerry West fired back with something, and then out of that, somehow Bob Cousy came.
By the way, this is the problem
spotlight.
with these arguments, right? The problem with these arguments, and the reason why I don't like to do them, is because they take out all context, which is, well, that was your option then. You couldn't get paid. You should. J.J. Redick should be great. J.J. Redick was, let's be fair, he was an average basketball player at best. He was an average basketball player in NBA context, right? In the context of the world, he was an exceptional basketball player. But in the NBA, he was an average basketball player. Despite being an average basketball player, he was able to make gobs and gobs of money because there were guys like Bob Cousy and Jerry West that came before him that didn't have that option. Because they didn't have that option, they had to work other jobs. The idea that J.J. Redick is so much scary better than those guys are leaves out all the context, which is Bob Cousy was scary better than everybody else that was playing basketball at the time. And that if there had been millions upon millions more dollars to be made playing basketball at the time, then probably he wouldn't have been going up against firefighters or plumbers or whatever it was.
Right, and it's just like the other night during the O's game, Ben McDonald was talking about how Dave Johnson drove a dump truck in the city during the offseason because they had to. Because the salaries weren't just like
the Hall
huge.
of Fame Baltimore Colts all work jobs
right
here in Baltimore in the offseason. Every one of them. John Unitas, maybe the greatest quarterback of all time, worked an off-season job in Baltimore. It was a different era. If those players, those athletes, had the option to spend more time, they
just train all offseason.
I don't know how good they would have been. I don't know how much more special they might have been. But the idea that we discredit them because of that, well, these guys are just far more athletic freaks. Well, yes, because they have the option to be. The circumstances are not the same. It's what makes this argument dumb. It's so pointedly stupid. And if anything, J.J. Redick should just constantly say, I am very thankful that these people came along because it allowed me, an average basketball player, to be overwhelmingly wealthy because there were guys like Bob Cousy and Jerry West. That's the end. Boy, this really is old man yelling at cloud today.
Well, I mean, I disagree with all of it, too. So
my God, this is old man yelling at cloud. I don't know
what
happened here.
J.J. Redick and Bill Russell. Is J.J. Redick better than Bill Russell?
No.
Yeah, and then there's also been a lot of people saying
Bill Russell. He could beat Bill Russell one-on-one, you think?
I mean, you're talking about a
Russell,
shooter.
can he defend the perimeter?
Then it's like
6'9" or 6'10".
What are we doing here?
But then there's also people saying like, oh, Redick would have 30 a game in that NBA, and it's like, well,
Redick, if he played in that NBA,
probably
wouldn't be able to just spend hours upon hours shooting and doing nothing else because he would have had to have worked a job. He wouldn't have been as good in that NBA. We're so stupid. We are so unthinkably stupid. We have no ability to think. We just say stupid things. It's all we do. Well, J.J. Redick would have gone. No, because J.J. Redick couldn't have spent every offseason sleeping in hyperbaric chambers because they didn't exist.
He's going to be Little Miss loses his voice again.
Yeah.
I am. God damn it.
Little Miss Red Face.
Just get to number 3. We got to get to Dan Wilcox.
All right, number 3.
I hate everything.
So there's been a pretty big debate going on as well. So XXL is, if you're not familiar, is this company, and it's like a music company.
Media corporation.
They come out with a list of all of the. It's called the freshman list, and it's all the newest rappers from the year, and they just basically highlight them. And so part of the thing is they split them up into 2 teams. They half them, and then they do like a freestyle. So they put out this list.
I believe this was popularized on the Little Dicky TV show. I believe they showed. Well, maybe that was just a cipher. Maybe that wasn't this. Go ahead, keep going.
So they put out this list, and
it was definitely for a TV thing, though, wasn't it? Do you remember the
They
episode?
posted on YouTube, and the 2016 one is like immensely popular. Like it's one that people will actually go and listen to. So they gave 2 teams. So I'm gonna list the teams. I want to see what you think. And it's a freestyle battle, and they're basically like alternating between the 2 teams.
Okay.
1994 Biggie Smalls.
Yeah, I mean,
2000 Eminem. 2003 50 Cent.
Hang on, Biggie, Eminem.
Yeah, and I guess this is like the prime of all these guys. So just assume that it's the prime.
50.
2015 Drake.
Mm.
And then 2016 Lil Uzi Vert.
Okay.
That's Team A versus Team B. 1996 Tupac. 2008 Lil Wayne. 2010 Kanye West. 2015 Kendrick Lamar.
Why was he on the 2010? Kanye West was. Like,
I think this is just
like
in their
5 years.
I think this is just in their prime.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if Kanye West was ever an XXL freshman. I think they just have him on the list. And 2018 Playboy Cardi.
All right. Well, I mean that doesn't do anything for me. But the answer is Team 2. I mean I don't get me wrong. I love Eminem. I love Biggie. But like 50 was a caricature as much as he wasn't a great rapper.
Right.
He was a kind of a caricature. Drake. We're really going to do this? We're really going to have this conversation?
We've had this conversation on
here
before.
Have this conversation. Look, even if I say that Kanye's totally fallen off, and he has, like Kanye thought more of himself, but Kanye in the early years of his career was outstanding. Kanye from that 2005 to 2000, man, it's not even 2005. It's more like 2004, right? 2003, somewhere in that range. He was outstanding. Like he didn't go off the deep end for a few years after that. So 2010 Kanye, I absolutely
10 solid years.
Yeah, I'd very much still be in there. Lil Wayne probably gets more disrespect.
Glenn is a huge advocate for Lil Wayne.
I utterly love Lil Wayne. I mean, he's brilliant. And then Tupac and Kendrick. I mean, come on, dude. Yeah. Come on. This isn't.
I think that's been the consensus.
This isn't a fair fight.
Yeah, I think that's been the
consensus. You got
consensus.
to redraft these teams in order to make this an actual conversation.
Yeah, and I think that's been the consensus that B is.
If I rank, hang on. If I just did this 1 to 10, so that's Tupac is obviously number 1. I'll give Biggie number 2. This is the irony. You might be surprised. I would probably go. I'd be torn between Kendrick and Eminem for number 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say Eminem, but like Kendrick, it makes sense.
It makes
genius. Makes perfect sense.
He's a genius. So I'll even give that 3 and give this 4, but then it's 5, 6 right there.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 of the top 6 are all on one side.
Right. So we just broke this.
Not a fair fight.
Where else are you going to find a
fight.
breakdown like
not a fair fight
of this list?
All right, very good. Thank you, Carson Weekly.
Thank you.
All right, into hour number 2 of today's program. It's also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. That's where you should be for UFC 277 on Saturday night. Griffin's going to lose all of his money betting on Amanda Nunes in the main event.
No, she's winning.
Well, but you can't just bet her to win. The odds aren't great. You're going to have to find some other things to bet.
I'll probably lose my money on the rest
Start
of the card.
looking at some of those, like props, and we'll figure out what you like about that card. That's the place to be if you want to reserve your spot right now because they get huge crowds for UFC fights in the FanDuel Sportsbook. You can watch the fight for free, and you can win money betting on the fights, which seems like a good way to spend your Saturday night instead of sitting around your house ordering a fight. What do they cost now? $60, something like that?
$75.
Ridiculous. $75 at your house. You're not going to win any money because you can't bet on your phone in Maryland. You're just going to be down $75. You could be up hundreds of dollars. You go watch the fight and bet on it. FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Email events@sportssocialmd.com to reserve your spot right now. Dan Wilcox, our friend, former Ravens tight end, part of the Believe Podcast Network. He and Bo are back this week. Dan Wilcox, what's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm great, man. How are you today, Glenn?
All right, give me of this group, all right? One side. This is a thing apparently that's happening on Twitter today. One side, your team is Biggie, Eminem, 50 Cent, Drake, and Lil Uzi Vert. The other team is Tupac, Lil Wayne, Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, and Playboy Cardi. Which team do you want?
I'm going to go with Kendrick, Kanye West.
I can't believe this is a debate. I mean, that team is loaded, man. Like, my God. Tupac and Kendrick Lamar on the same team and prime Kanye? Come on. That's an unfair fight.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
I mean, you got to really sit down and think about it, Glenn. Like, Kanye going to come with the dopest beat, and then he gonna give you a killer flow. Then you got Lamar on there. Kendrick is phenomenal with his verse. He's a genius. So you put two geniuses together, him and Kanye. Even Kanye off meds though, not Kanye on meds. So you got a chance to kill right there.
Well, and throw in, maybe the greatest rapper in the history of humanity in Tupac Shakur. Like, that's all. That's all you've got on that team.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfair fight.
Yeah, he a poet and you don't even know it.
Oh, what's going on, dude? How are you? How's life for Dan Wilcox these days?
Everything's great, Glenn. Just down to Georgia, just working hard, man. Me and Bo we just did our first segment for next year for the Believe Network and the podcast, Believe Podcast. And just sitting here trying to get my sons enrolled in school, doing the dad thing and, trying to be the best version of Wilcox I can be.
I love that. Give me the biggest, let's separate all the nonsense that people are spewing about Lamar Jackson, the contract. Your single biggest concern about the Ravens in context of trying to win a Super Bowl in 2022 is what?
I think injuries, man. It's the same concern that everybody has. I think the Costa and crew has done a phenomenal job in the offseason putting together a great team. The receiving part may be still an issue for them moving forward. But just really, the biggest issue they had last season that stopped them from going to the Super Bowl was injuries. And, they was plagued with the injury bug last year. Everybody and their mom got hurt last year. Their girlfriends broke up with them. It was crazy last year. So this year, you just hope these guys have an opportunity to stay healthy, and you hope that God's with them and they're blessed and they come out of this thing and they go healthy into the playoffs and they stay healthy throughout the season. I think they got a chance of shocking some people. I think people forgot how good they were last year.
I agree with you, by the way. I absolutely think that they are a bit under the radar right now because people forgot that the story of what happened a season ago is that everybody got hurt. I will admit, however, Dan, I am still concerned. I know they're going to want to run the ball. They want to try to replicate what they did a couple of years ago in Lamar's MVP season. I understand all of those things. But I am still a bit apprehensive about the wide receiver room. And it's not because I don't believe these guys can't be players or that, the tight ends can help out a little bit. They are so inexperienced at the wide receiver position, and in winning the biggest games they've got to win this year, I don't know, man. Like, that's the one thing that I look at and say, if there's something about this roster that I think will ultimately hold them back, it's what they lack in terms of wide receivers.
I honestly think we're going to be shocked this year to see how well these young men play. I think James Prochet is like the best kept secret in Baltimore right now. I think Bateman is going to step up and make some big plays. I thought he played really well last year. If you can keep Duvernay healthy, I think you got a 1-2-3 punch in the receiving core that could be pretty freaking special all year long. Just about injuries and just praying these guys don't pull a hamstring or a hip or end up with some curved toe or something. You got to keep these guys healthy. Prochet slot is probably about as good as they are. He's a Wes Welker type all day. Hands is freaking phenomenal. I watched the kid down at the Senior Bowl when he was coming out. I was actually his breakout leader. And got a chance to evaluate him every single day as a breakout leader.
Wow.
Down at the Reese's Bowl. And I just thought he was a phenomenal player. When I talked to the Ravens scout, later on, they asked me if he was a Raven. I was like, hands down. You can't teach hands. You can teach how to run routes. You can teach how to get in out of breaks. You can teach how to create separation. You can teach leverage when you run routes and understanding how to push and move the defender and keep him where he at and make him move off his mark. And you could teach that. You could teach all those angles and all that type of stuff, how to be a good route runner. But you can't teach a natural ability to be able to track the ball with your eyes and hands, And, of course, you can definitely develop it and make it better. But he has a natural set of hands that are phenomenal, man. It's up there with some of the greats I've seen.
Look, man, I love everything you're saying right now. I get nervous about a group. They have 4 wide receivers in the room that have even played at all. Even a little bit in the NFL, and none of them have played much in the NFL.
Right.
Unfortunately, as we say, hey, you want them to stay healthy, you know the way this league works. I feel like you're asking a lot of a really thin group.
Well, Glenn, I look at it like this right here. Like, I used to have this battle with my he's now 17, but I've been arguing with this kid since he was 10.
Okay.
He would watch the NFL game, and my son Tristan, and he would watch an NFL game, and then it'd be a really bad team like the Bengals or the Browns, maybe sucking at that time or something. This is like 6-7 years. They not as great as they were now. He would look at the team and be like, "Man, the Miami Dolphins suck, Dad." And I would look this kid right in his eye. I was like, "Watch what you say. There's not a team in the NFL that sucks. There's not a player in the NFL that sucks. Your worst player was somebody All-American or somebody All-State, All-County, these are world-class elite athletes, and that's what the Ravens have in their wide receiver room. They got world-class elite athletes in the receiver room, and they was the best of the best and the best of the best and the best of the best from every single level. And all the bad guys have been weeded out. This whole thing, Glenn, is about confidence. It's whether or not Bateman got the confidence that he had his senior year in college when he was unthinking believable, whether or not Prochet has the confidence he had his senior year of college when he was absolutely believable, whether or not Duvernay have gained the confidence that he has, for the last 2-3 years that he's been playing, because he's been phenomenal. He's been a great receiver for the Ravens, and before he even came to Baltimore, he was doing really well as well. So you got some guys that's coming in behind him that's going to push those guys, give them a chance to step outside of their bodies and become Supermen. I felt for the majority of the time of my career that I was a Superman. I felt like I was a superhero. I can remember taking a shower one time. My son was like, "Dad, you look like a superhero." You know what I'm saying? And that's what you feel. You feel invincible, Glenn, until you get that moment when you get injured and you get hurt, and all of a sudden, maybe I am human. So these guys, I think they have some phenomenal receivers that may shock you.
I mean, let's be honest. I've basically seen you naked before, and you know what? You did look like a superhero. Yeah. If I'm being honest with you, you did look like a superhero.
I appreciate
That's our buddy Dan Wilcox. Dan, so I mentioned something. I said it seems like this team wants to replicate what they did in 2019, right? Like it looks like that's what they're building. Is we want to be that team that just runs you to death. Can they get back to that? Did the NFL see too much of it, and they're going to be ready to have new answers for the Ravens if they try to do that? Or can they get right back to being that team that run? Like my God, they've signed every running back. They signed another one yesterday in Corey Clement. They've got like 20 running backs on the roster. They clearly want to run the ball a ton. Can they get back to doing what it is they did so successfully and upending the league in 2019?
Absolutely. I mean, running the football has been around since the beginning of time, football. So to me, I look at the running the football just like the defense is lining up in man-to-man defense. When the defense lines up in man-to-man defense, they're basically saying our DBs are better than your skill guys. When you run the ball down somebody's throat, you're saying my front five and my running backs are better than your front five and your linebackers. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge week in and week out. And I think the Ravens it has always been like a ground and pound team. I don't think anything with that success for Baltimore. I mean, unless they have another season like they did last year where everybody hurts them, you lose every running back. I think the reason why they load their roster up is so they can save Gus and they can save Dobbins and those guys.
Yeah.
So that heal all those guys so they can save those guys for the season. They run those young guys, get those guys some film. Now they got film, they can go other places and go play and make teams somewhere else. But the Ravens pretty much has their mind made up of who's going to be their running backs for this season, and those other guys get an opportunity to come in and showcase their stuff and maybe beat one of those guys out. But it's two of those guys ain't going nowhere. You're going to see those guys pounding the rock all next season, and they're going to do everything they can to keep them healthy, Glenn.
By the way, and I think, Bo and I were talking about this the other day. I really think that they're, as much as J.K. Dobbins is like, I want to be back for week one, they're like, dude, week one is not our priority. Like, week one is small potatoes for us. We want you to be available in February. That's what we're worried about right now.
Absolutely, man. You got star running backs in this team, man. You got guys that can take it. You can give it to them in the back for 99 with it. And that's pretty impressive when you have three guys, on the team that can do that. So I think Baltimore will get back to, this offensive line will have to show improve themselves. They'll get developed throughout this camp, and you'll figure out who's going to be that guy and who's not that guy in the O-line. And once they get that figured out, what you got in the tight end room, with Mark Andrews and company. And I think these receivers will do exactly what they've been doing under the radar for the last couple of years.
Let me just talk briefly before I let you go, Dan, about Lamar. And look, whatever stupid thing some defensive coordinator says anonymously is insane. But the totality of the continued absurd criticism, just the completely unfair, ridiculous, nonsensical criticism that does not go away with this young man, plus the questions about his contract, his long-term future, plus the fact that, when we go back to the world of being fair, we all have to acknowledge that before he got hurt, he did struggle for those final 4 weeks that he played last year against the Blitz. How much of that do you think is riding on this young man's shoulders, and how hell-bent do you expect to see Lamar Jackson to play as good a football as he has ever played, given all of this that's going on around him right now?
I think Lamar is going to be Lamar. I think people really don't understand. Like, when people watch these games, like, they really feel like that the Ravens was at 100% last year. When he struggled against the Blitz, he had no O-line. Everybody was hurt. He had no running backs. Everybody was hurt. He had no receivers. Everybody was hurt. He's basically out there running for his life every single play with guys missing assignments and guys coming free every single play. Sitting in the house, he has nobody to protect. Anybody would fail in that situation. So it's level. Right now, the playing field is level. You're going to get all your guys back. Nobody's hurt right now. Everybody's coming back off injuries, and they'll be back by the time week 1 comes around. So, I think the issue that people have is, what have you done for me lately? What are you doing right now? And it's like, that's all they remember. They remember what happened at the end of the year. They remember what happened once he got hurt. They remember what happened the last 2-3 weeks before he got hurt, where he had nobody out there protecting him at all. And he's basically one man out there standing alone with a bunch of young guys that, and everybody was playing position at that point. You had guards playing tackles, centers playing guards. It was weird, man. So it's stuff that never happens in the NFL. And they still found a way. At that moment, you got to keep in mind, the kid, his name was in the hunt for MVP status at that time. That's how well he was playing up until everybody started to go on it. He started to lose his entire supporting cast. I think Lamar is Lamar. I think the hate that he gets is because he's not what you expect a clean-cut, franchise quarterback to look like. He's an inner-city kid, from Miami, from that Florida area. Grittiness to him. The things that we love about him, things that everybody else hate about him. So it's like that grittiness, to me, pours out Baltimore. It's that inner city of Baltimore. You go down to the Inner Harbor. You go out into the East Baltimore, West Baltimore areas, it's kind of got that grittiness to it. And Lamar, to me, is like that gritty quarterback, that came from, that got it out of the mud. He found a way. He won the Heisman, and now he's in the NFL winning MVPs. People love to hate him. When you're doing great, people hate you. And if he didn't have haters, he wouldn't be doing good at all, And it's like the things that he gets shot down on, to me, is the things that make him special. This is a one-of-a-kind guy. When somebody like Michael Vick says that he's better than him at this point in time in his career,
no doubt.
It just goes to show you how phenomenal. Remember, Vick was a clean-cut guy than Lamar, so he was more of a clean-cut guy. Looking at him visually, he was more of a clean-cut guy. He became almost the face of the NFL. Lamar has done more than Michael Vick has at this moment in his career, and he hasn't had a chance to be the face of the NFL. Love to hate this dude for some reason. Maybe it's because he's in Baltimore and he got that Raven on his chest. So, I always felt like we was the black sheeps of the NFL. If you talk to Bart Scott, he'll say the same thing. So you go to some games and all of a sudden we getting penalties and phantom calls that never existed. It's so weird, man. It's just part of being a Raven. I think he's the perfect quarterback for Baltimore. I think he's the perfect quarterback to take on all the hate that he gets. And when it comes to paid and they're ready to cut that check, they're going to cut the check for the man the way it's supposed to be cut.
That's well said, my man. That is really well said. Dan Wilcox, at Coach Wilcox on Twitter. Of course, the Believe Podcast Network. He and Bo Smolka back at it for another season, breaking down the Ravens. Dan, always appreciate it, brother. Let's do this again soon, all right? Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
No doubt, Glenn. Thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Hey, you'll always be my superhero, my friend. I want you to know that. You'll always be my guy. Love that guy, man.
Thank you, Glenn. Appreciate that, brother.
Dan Wilcox, he is the best. Love that guy. Really, I've always. He's just one of the best human beings we've ever had around these parts, and appreciate him taking the time for us. let's just keep rolling, and we'll get the break before we do Simply the Bets. What are we doing here? We'll just keep it going. We'll just keep rolling right through, and I'll get a break in before we start the betting show. That's the way it'll go. Hello. Sorry. Today's show is also brought to you by. It comes and goes, right? Like in moments, I'm like, yeah, it sound all right.
Yeah, I thought you sounded great today.
I don't think I've sounded great. I think I have.
Considering the circumstance, I think you've sounded great.
Look, Carson, I appreciate it, and I want you to know you're very pretty. All right? You're very pretty.
Oh, I forgot to tell the viewers.
Come on, let them know.
You guys look great today.
You don't need to put out your little miss crap. You look very pretty.
You got it from me.
Yes.
No little misses from any of you today.
Strapping Carson Weekly says, you're very pretty. You don't need your little miss memes. Today's show brought to you by, just as I thought I was sounding better, it goes away. It's brought to you by the print issue of Press Box, which is available right now for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms and in the hundreds of locations around town where you find Press Box. Read it all. PressBoxOnline.com. It is our Salute to Coaches issue. John Harbaugh's on the cover. Also inside, Ken Niamatololo from Navy. From Maryland, Sasha Sorovsky, Missy Maharg, Pete Caringi from UMBC, Pat Clatchy from Mount St. Joe, Kendall Peace from Poly, all coaches who have either recently surpassed or are approaching significant milestones in their career. And then also we recognize two coaches who recently retired, Janine Tucker from Johns Hopkins, Lou Eckerl from Calvert Hall. It's the players and the athletes whose lives they impacted the most who are the ones telling the stories of these coaches. So encourage you to go pick up that new print issue of PressBox right now or read it at PressBoxOnline.com where it is available. You're telling me to take the break now because Drew's not answering his phone? That's what you're saying, Griffin? Fairness, I told him 11:15, and then I this might be on me is the point that I'm trying to make. I might have screwed this up. All right, we'll take the break then. Drew is supposed to join us. If he doesn't, I think we're going to be okay. I think we'll live. But Drew's going to join us. And Simply the Bet still to come this hour. That's all on the way. Glenn Clark Radio.
Summer is in full swing, and so is the summer seasonal menu at Glory Days Grill. Start with the opener, flash fried pork belly with their popular Korean No. 2 sauce. And try their South Carolina barbecue chicken, or backed by popular demand, the lobster roll with grilled corn. Also try the irresistible crab and lobster fries, or the very berry salad with chicken. And for dessert, the Cracker Jack sundae with a waffle, ice cream, and Cracker Jacks. This menu will be gone. Find out more and get your order in at glorydaysgrill.com. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Get your tickets now for the premier high school lacrosse games of the year. The 17th annual All-America Lacrosse Boys and Girls Senior All-Star Games will be on Saturday, July 30th at Johns Hopkins' historic Homewood Field. This is your chance to see the future lacrosse stars up close and in person as they showcase why they are the best in the country. Go to allamericalacrosse.com and get your tickets now.
The latest edition of PressBox is available now, and it's our very first Salute to Coaches issue. On the cover, we recognize Ravens coach John Harbaugh ahead of his 15th season. Also inside, find tributes to Navy football coach Ken Niamatololo, UMBC soccer coach Pete Caringi, Maryland soccer coach Sasha Sorovsky, and field hockey coach Missy Maharg, Mount St. Joe basketball coach Pat Clatchy, and Poly basketball coach Kendall Peace. We also honor recently retired Johns Hopkins lacrosse coach Janine Tucker and Calvert Hall baseball coach Lou Eckerl, the athletes whose lives these coaches have impacted, offering insights on what makes them special and why they've stood the test of time. PressBox is available for free at over 500 area locations, including 60 Royal Farm stores, and you can always find the entire edition, as well as the best daily coverage of the Orioles, Ravens, and Terps at PressBoxOnline.com.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline. Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR. Let's check in with Drew Forrester, drewsmorningdish.com, Fairways and Greens on 105.7 The Fan. How did your Bruce Springsteen ticket attempts go this morning?
It went great, except I could only afford 2.
So I got through, and then every time I actually clicked on the tickets, right, like I'll take these, they were like, somebody else already got them. Yep, somebody else already got them. So eventually my only option was to buy like $1,500 tickets, and I said, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to
I think I would have passed. I had an option to buy $900 ones, and I'm like, nope, I'm good.
Now, they didn't offer...
And I don't know know exactly how this thing works. Like this whole, whatever this is called, this pricing that they do now.
Dynamic pricing, they call it.
I don't understand how it works, but I would assume that if I found out how it worked, I would be really offended.
You wouldn't be thrilled. You definitely wouldn't be thrilled. Now, they offered, and I was surprised, did you get the offer, speaking of dynamic pricing, so the way it works is like they have, certain price points available in certain areas. I saw they had the one that for $1,500 you could sit in Bruce's bathroom. Were you able to get those?
No, but I would have definitely bought those. I didn't see that.
I know that.
Shucks.
I know that's true.
No, I got on the floor. I did get the floor, so I did get 2 good seats on the floor, and I only have one person going right now, which is me. I'll find.
What did it cost you? What did 2 seats on the floor total? Not like the listed price.
Like $1,000.
$1,000 for 2 seats on the floor. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah. That's about what I thought. That's about what it was.
And that's about my. I could have gone to New York a few years ago to see him up at Broadway. It was $720 or something, and then I factored in. I got to get up there.
Yes.
I probably have to spend the night.
Yeah.
It's a $1,200 event. I'm going to eat dinner somewhere.
Right.
And hey, look, I am probably, I guess, as big a Bruce fan as there is, but I'm not that big of a fan. Like, I wouldn't be that big of a fan for anyone.
I'm actually a little bit surprised by that statement, if I'm being honest with you.
I know, but I just, there is, now, again, this is all based on your means. If I was a gazillionaire,
of course,
I would just have gone up there.
And that's really what dynamic pricing is. And that's sort of what the economy has become. Let's charge somebody something and just see if people will pay it. Let's just find out.
That is the truth. Like, so when I saw those tickets, good seats, double F, which I guess is, 12 rows back or whatever, I'm like, yeah. That's about my number. 500 is my number. I'll find somebody to buy the other ticket. Like, I'm not worried about that. If somebody else wants to go, I'll say the tickets are $500. And if they say no thanks, I'll find somebody else to pay $500. I'm not worried about getting rid of the other ticket. So that was about my limit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put together a little event like I did before. I'll figure out a way to put together a cool little event. I'll have a DJ come in. We'll do some Springsteen karaoke. I'll get 50 people in a room and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, I was tapped out at like $200 was my limit. Like before I would have.
And by the way, I would have, had there been seats available when I got in at 200.
Yep.
Even if they were in the upper deck, I would have bought them.
Oh, by the way,
the
one seat that was available was literally in the corner section of the upper deck. Like, you were not going to have a view
and that
of
was
the stage.
$200.
And it was I want to say it was $215 or something like that.
Yeah. So I submit to you, for another $285, wouldn't you rather just have a good seat?
No, 100% of those 2 options.
Okay.
And it's, look, I don't, this is very different. I paid an exorbitant amount of money. You can roll your eyes, do whatever you want for Paul McCartney because I'd never seen Paul McCartney before. I needed to see him. This is I'm not like you. I like Bruce Springsteen, but I'm not like you with him, and I've seen him a bunch of times. So if I miss this one,
at it like this.
I'll be okay.
Right. And I'm the opposite because I always think this is it.
Right. This could be your last.
This
I
is
understand.
it for him.
Yep.
I mean, we never know when none of us ever know when we're going. But this could be it for him. Could be it for me. Could be. I mean, like, I want to go see him again, and I've been saying that. This will be my 28th time seeing him. I've been saying that since about the 20th.
Yeah,
time.
how does Mrs. Forrester handle it when that's your excuse? She's like, "Oh, again, huh? You're worried about this being the last time again.
Right.
That's your excuse
well,
again."
She could go too. She just doesn't want to go.
By the way, that's normally the way it works with Mrs. Clark, where I'm like, "I bought 2 tickets. Yeah. If you want to go, you may have the other ticket." Nah, I'm good. Just take a friend. Take a friend.
So this will now top the most I've ever paid for a show. I paid $300 to see ELO, but I was in row D.
Okay.
I was close enough to see Jeff Lynne sweat.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Boy.
So that was it for me. Like, and this, and again, I'm paying. And if I really wanted to be a, I'd put this online and I'd get $1,000 for it.
Probably,
I'd make my $1,000 back.
Yeah, 100%.
Somebody would give me $1,000 to drive down here from New Jersey that night and stand there and row double F with me.
I still can't.
But I'm not doing that either.
I still can't believe. So the only thing I got out of looking at the map for the new version of the arena is that they're not going to call, there's going to be one lower level now, right? Like, it's not going to be the 100 and 200. There's going to be one combined lower level, and then the upstairs level, which was always the 300 level, is now the 200 level, right? That's the only. I didn't really learn anything else.
I got a sneak peek about, I don't know, probably longer now, maybe 2 months ago. In April, end of April, so this is end of May, end of June. No, it's longer than that. It's 3 months. I got a sneak peek at what they were doing. I got in there through someone, all on a whim. Hey, I'm going down to look at the arena. Would you be interested in going down and looking at it? I know, you got a soft spot for it, blah, blah, blah. Would you want to go in and see what they're doing? Sure. And when I was in there, I would say it was, I don't even know. 30% of it was, done.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
It's going to blow you away when you see it.
Really?
It's going to blow you away.
I'm still
based on what it used to be.
I understand that, but I'm very apprehensive that we're doing this just to have a rectangle box arena still. Like, I'm very apprehensive.
I know, but I'm just telling you, you'll be blown away when you see it.
All right.
When you see it, you're going to be like, "Yep, they fixed this up."
All right.
Now, again, like, what would we rather have an 18,000 seater that's beautiful? Sure, but we don't have that. But we're going to have this is a building that people are going to. This is their indoor version of Merriweather, right? This is their answer to that. You can go to Merriweather, but you can also come here now because it's nice.
All right, look, man. I just wish we had I would have settled for having the right shape of a building. I would have settled for that.
I agree, but that was in 1962.
I understand, man.
When they built it, they thought it was the cat's meow.
All right. Do you care at all about what an anonymous defensive coordinator said about Lamar Jackson in The Athletic?
Zero.
Okay.
Zero. And by the way, he might even be kind of right, but I couldn't care less.
No, he's not kind of right. I mean, the absurdity of that.
His point is the same point everyone else has been making about the guy. And so you just have to decide, do you want to win football games, period, or do you want to have a guy who looks and acts and comes off as a real quarterback? I'm the other way. I'll take the wins.
Do you hear yourself when you say the words like real quarterback? But do you hear that?
I'm saying this is what people are saying. I'm not saying it. But this is what people say about him.
But that's the insane. That's what makes it so completely absurd. It's the idea that if someone runs sometimes, that means they're not a real quarterback. Well, he's far better than everybody else that you're naming.
Correct.
That's
why I would take the latter.
It's insane.
So I couldn't care less. If he wins, I don't care what he does. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But I understand the way people look at him. I get it, and I also get it. Maybe there's some geographic bias here, but I also get that almost all of those people are not from here. and they don't get to see him. They don't get to be. They don't have their team or their, for whatever reason our lives get impacted by sports. They don't get their lives impacted by him, or they don't get to watch him the way we do.
But it's more like
it's like the Mike Trout thing.
Nah.
Like we have no idea how good, or the Ohtani kid. We have no idea how good those guys are because we never see them.
Well, that's not completely true. I get what you're saying. I understand,
but it's mostly true.
I understand what you're saying is that it impacts us more. I would go as far as say it's like watching with a blindfold. It's like saying if I said, "Hey, there's this team and all they do is shoot threes and they make all their threes and they win all the time," and then somebody said, "Yeah, but that's not basketball. You can't play basketball like that." Well, why can't you? What is the reason why you couldn't? And there's no argument. Right. There's no follow-up. All these people are saying is, well, this just isn't how it's supposed to be. Why not? They don't have a follow-up to it. There is no...
It's like saying it's like when DeChambeau was sort of kind of rolling along and hitting it 380 yards. People were saying, yeah, well, that's not golf. Well, it might be.
Why wouldn't it be? I mean,
it might be the way golf now.
I mean, you got to do other things, too.
Right, but he has now, since then, he's sort of gone the other way and he's changed his body again. But I get it. But I do understand because it's so unique. I do understand how people that don't see him regularly and just see the data say, yeah, he's whatever that guy said. I only read it and then I passed by because I'm like, whoever this is has no idea what he's talking about. But I get it, but I'll take the winner. Give me the guy that wins, and you can have the guy that looks good.
This is different. Like, Tim Tebow won, and he stunk. Like, he couldn't play the position. This guy's not just winning. The data says he might be the greatest quarterback of all time.
But I think Tim Tebow is a pretty interesting comparison as it relates to style.
What?
Right? Tebow was and not in the NFL. I don't count anything Tebow did in the NFL. I'm talking more about in college. Tebow was just an athlete.
But he couldn't throw the ball. Like, he was not capable of throwing the football.
But he won. That's my point. He won.
But it's far different. If we could have this conversation if Lamar Jackson wasn't a good thrower. That's the insanity of it. People don't watch him and say he's not good at throwing the football because they're not. They have no idea what they're saying.
Some people do, which is also bizarre. Some people say he can't throw,
which
is also weird. But that gets back to my point. This is coming from people who don't watch him.
Yeah.
So they're going to say dumb things.
It's nuts. It's nuts.
That's my point. These people that don't watch him game in and game out, and they just see the stats, and they just see the Ravens won 22-20, and Lamar had 114 yards rushing on the ground and 201 yards in the air, and he led the team in rushing, that they don't see that. Because they're not watching the games.
Will your opinion when Trey Mancini?
And by the way, when it's 3rd and 8, and he throws for 9 yards or runs for 9 yards, it's the same thing.
Yes, correct. It works either way. Either one of them is fine.
Exactly the same thing.
They all count.
It's a 3-foot putt and a 30-foot putt.
It's like the people. It's like the people that truly don't understand why on base percentage matters. Like that, it's just Well, I mean, batting average. He gets on base all the time. All the time. Yeah, but his batting average is
that is the Jim Tomei argument. Well, Jim Tomei had 1,800 hits. He did. He also got on base 4,000 times.
Yeah, it's a fact. That is a fact. That's a fact.
And it's just like a single.
Yep, 100%. It's exactly.
And by the way, in some ways, it's better than a single because it might have taken the pitcher 9 pitches for you to walk.
Also true.
Right.
When Trey Mancini gets dealt, will your opinion be affected at all by what the return is?
No, I'm thinking about it because I wrote about him today, and I didn't really even take that into consideration. I mean, if you're saying, what if they get hosed? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying if it's pretty clear. I'll just give you mine. I have said I am opposed to doing it for the sake of doing it. I am opposed to just making the trade for whatever it is that you can get and taking. And so when we get to that point, I'm going to scream for a few minutes about the idea that they just took somebody's trash and said, well, what the hell? We had to trade him anyway. He was going to be a free agent at the end of the year. I'm not on board with that, and I won't be on board with that. Now, if they end up getting something,
I would agree. I would agree with that in general. I mean, again, they're gonna move him on. they're going to move him on because in the end, they're probably not going to make the wild card this year, but I say probably, which means I've changed, because 2 months ago I would have said they're not going to make it. Yeah. Now they're probably not going to make it, so they're probably not going to make it. They're very clearly not going to bring him back next year. That they have decided, for whatever their reasons, that 30 years old, as I said today at Drew's Morning Dish, like it's kind of comical that at 30 years old, your career calendar it has hit November for a certain kind of player.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. And it's not for every player, but we do this, and when I say this, by no means is this disrespectful to Trey Mancini, because it's the truth. And you and I have talked about this. He's a good baseball player. He's nothing more than that. We've made him out to be more than that, sort of, kind of, because he deserves to be made out to be more than that because of what he's done here. And some people would say to me, well, that's the same thing you've done with Adam Jones. That Adam Jones was a good player that you, meaning me, that you tried to tell us was a great player because you really liked him and because he was great for the city and because he tapped his shoulder when he crossed home plate and blah, blah, blah. And some of that is accurate. And so, Mancini is, it's weird, but at 30 years old, good players are expendable. At 30 years old, great players aren't. Does that make sense?
Yep. I understand.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that's what he is, and that doesn't make him a bad guy. It doesn't make him anything. He's just a good baseball player, and as we've seen this last 3 weeks, he's capable of going 0 for 25.
Of course. I understand.
So I'm going to be disappointed when he goes, because I do think he's been a model person for the franchise. I think he's been awesome. I think, in a much shorter time span, he is this little era's version of Markakis or Adam Jones in the way people revere him in town.
Yes,
not necessarily in the way he plays, because I think both of those guys were better baseball
players. They definitely
players.
were. There's no debate about that. They definitely were better baseball
players. But he's entered into that category of, sort of revered ambassador, because that's what he's become.
All right. What's going on?
And he represents this. In some ways, he represents the rebirth of the team because he's been here for all of it.
That's true.
He came in at the very end.
And has been, despite all of that, has done everything. Despite how miserable the circumstances were, was an exceptional human being. All right, give me.
Never came in and asked for a trade.
No.
Never.
No. The opposite.
Just showed up every day and worked.
All right, I gotta get to betting. Give me. I know you don't know anything. That's not. Yeah, it's not your thing. I know it's not really for you.
I'll say yes.
Sure, I understand that. You want to get a plug in with something, Drew's Morning Dish or Fairways and Greens?
Drew's Morning Dish. We'll be doing a little bit of baseball and football stuff tomorrow, and we will talk to David Kocher from the Corn Ferry Tour. Went to University of Maryland.
Maryland zone, yeah.
And we got a lot going on Sunday, 12 to 1 at 105.7.
Very good. Thanks, pal. Appreciate you.
All right. We'll see you soon.
Drew Forrester, Drew'sMorningDish.com. Let's quickly get Tidbit and Tidbit to wrap up this portion of the program. Brought to you by the Stan the Fan Variety Hour. Stan and Ross caught up last night. Talked some Hall of Fame. Talked about the Orioles situation. If you missed it, find it right now. Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. PressBoxOnline.com/video. And coming up on Thursday, Stan and Gary Stein will catch up with Mike Loxley. You can find that, again, same locations, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. PressBoxOnline.com/video. We got to do this quick.
Okay, I'll try to be really quick. All right, so we watched the Oriole game last night. We all knew we were in for a tremendous pitching duel between Corey Kluber and Austin Voth.
It's the moment we had waited for.
Yeah, so Voth struck out 2 batters, 2 of the 16 batters he faced in 3 innings, and then Kluber only got 2 strikeouts as well. He faced 24 batters. And so it made me think about, I can't really remember a time the Orioles have ever really had a guy, at least especially in my lifetime, where we've had a guy that just mows down batters. Like getting like a big strikeout guy, like like a Verlander or Garrett Cole, somebody is going to get 8 strikeouts a night anytime he's out there. So my question, it was kind of a 2-parter, but maybe I'll do just a quick part. Do you know who the Orioles pitcher who has the most strikeouts this season is?
Tyler Wells would be my guess.
No, he is second.
Yeah, is it somehow like Felix Bautista?
No, it's not. It's not. The top those top 2 would be two you expect. Jordan Lyles has 93 this season in his 112.
Okay.
Then,
the sheer number of innings makes a lot of sense.
And then Wells has 63, and then Jorge Lopez is third.
Okay.
He has 52 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So it made me think about, Orioles pitchers who have done a lot of the striking out. So I want to know if you can name the top 7 Orioles pitchers with the most strikeouts in a season.
Top 7 with the most strikeouts in a season.
All right, Messina.
There you go.
To get him out of the way.
Messina, he struck out 200 3 times in an Orioles uniform.
Palmer,
he had his most he struck out in a season was 199. He never hit that 200 benchmark.
What a bum!
Yeah,
get him out of here.
He did. He
what
did
a
strike
loser.
out. He struck out 193 plus 3 times though.
Is Cuellar in there?
Cuellar is up there. Actually, yes. He is 190 in 1970. He would be number 7 in terms of names.
I feel like there's one of those guys from the rough eras that's on the list, but I'll go McNally first.
Yes, McNally. He is one of 3 Orioles pitchers to strike out 200 batters. Struck out 202 in 1968.
Milt Pappas?
No. Who was Milt Pappas?
Oh no! Don't do that. Oh no! We don't have time for this right now. I'll deal this another time. Oh God! Just stop! You're hurting yourself. Stop! I'm not kidding.
He is not on my list.
Thank you. Just say that. That's all you need to say. Nothing else good is coming from this. Flanagan.
Yes, Flanagan is
good one.
Number 7.
He
also had 190 in 1979.
Boddicker?
No, Boddicker not up there.
Bedard.
There you go, Bedard.
Yeah.
He has the Orioles record for most
not
strikeouts
know
in
that.
a
Wow.
season.
I did not know that.
221.
Learn something new every day.
In 2007.
Wow.
Held
I
by
had no
Messina.
idea.
Messina had 218 in 1997.
And how many more do we need to get?
So you've named all the 200
I got
guys.
6.
We're missing one.
One.
Of the
All
top
right,
7.
just tell me.
1968, he struck out 193. Tom Phoebus.
It would have taken a while. So
I wouldn't have gotten.
I was thinking
that would have.
for some reason I thought like Daniel Cabrera had a monster strikeout season. That was what I was.
And then recently, Kevin Gausman and Chris Tillman, they both struck out 179. Gausman in 2017, Tillman in 2013.
All right, very good. The only thing tubular-wise you need to worry about tonight, Orioles race 7 o'clock on Massins. Shane McClanahan, Spencer Watkins, the pitching matchup. Everything else, you can go to glennclarkradio.com, find it there.
And Practical Joker Shark Week Spectacular.
Great.
Yeah, Shark Week.
On Discovery at 8. Your Practical Joker's doing Shark Week.
Enjoy. That'll not be for your boy. Carson, you're on social media.
At Carson Ware, everywhere.
That's with an I. At Carson Ware.
That's right.
Waire. Thanks today to Drew. Thanks to who we have on the
Daniel
show?
Wilcox.
Thank you, Dan Wilcox, and thanks also to Damon Amendolara. We'll get all of it up in the greatest hits section of the tab at glennclarkradio.com. We got stuff tomorrow. We don't have time. Whatever. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Casa Sin, Great 8's Memorabilia, FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, All-American Lacrosse, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Thanks to Ryan at RexFex Ryan. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Yep. Oh, he had to turn off your mic. Sorry. It's what it is. At Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday night. Go Birds. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks, too. If you're with us on video, give us a